Welcome to Bristol Bay Native Corporation's podcast series, Mug Up with BB&C. Mug Up is a term commonly used in the Bristol Bay region, specifically in the fishing community. It refers to getting together with friends and family for a casual gathering over a warm cup of coffee or tea. It's all about sharing stories, experiences, and connecting with one another. In this podcast, hosted by BB&C's communications team, you'll hear from BB&C employees, community leaders, and passionate individuals who are engaged in BB&C's mission of enriching our Native way of life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mug Up with BB&C. My name is Anais, and with me is Kala.
Hi guys, good to be back.
And today we have two very special guests. We have Logan Birch, the president of Alaska Growth Capital, and Mary Miner, the vice president of community development at Alaska Growth Capital. Hi. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
So excited to have you.
Yeah, why don't we start and have you introduce yourselves?
So I am the vice president of community development at Alaska Growth Capital, and I've been with AGC since 2017. Logan actually hired me, and I run our community economic development initiatives. This spans from our Alaska Marketplace or Bristol Bay Marketplace activities, our business plan competition, as well as overseeing our community economic development lending. You know, when we were being acquired by McKinley and Bristol Bay Native Corporation, and now with this greater acquisition by BB&C, it's really exciting for me. My family fishes in ECOC, and so working for and under an Alaska Native regional corporation, and then that regional corporation being Bristol Bay, where I spend my summers fishing with my family, is really meaningful. Being in this room and seeing, you know, pictures of the fishing industry, it warms my heart, you know? I mean, I love my summers in ECOC, and now I have 3 babies, and they're coming to ECOC with me and learning to fish. So, you know, it's really meaningful, and you can see that in all the material that BB&C puts out and in their messaging and in the images. So for me, it's really exciting to be more part of BB&C now, and then also being able to do the marketplace and the connection and the businesses that are coming out of that region. It's just really great. Warms my heart.
Oh.
My name is Logan Birch, president of Alaska Growth Capital. We've got 15 team members, are all here in Alaska, and we're like born and raised Alaskans. Of course, we have some that aren't, but the vast majority of our team are born and raised. I mean, so I was born in Fairbanks, grew up in Fairbanks, family moved to Anchorage, went out of state for a few years to get a college degree, immediately came back. I think my net worth at that time was negative $75,000 or so with all my student loans, and I was 22 years old trying to decide, well, what do I want to be? And I actually wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But when you have student loans to pay, and I wasn't sure what to do, what to start, I had no capital, so I got into banking. I thought, well, that seems to be a good place to go, and so started off at a training program at then Wells Fargo, and went through a management training program, 4 years of small business lending with small businesses right here in Anchorage, a year of commercial real estate around the state, and then 4 years of large corporate financing for large, regional corporations and in different companies, and that was really fun, helping businesses all over the state. Got drafted by ASRC. ASRC called me at home one day and hired me, and so I had a great 9 years at ASRC and their family of companies. I first got to Alaska Growth Capital when it was owned by Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, and took over as president and CEO in January of 2017. Alaska Growth Capital was having some problems back then, and it was a little bit of a rebuild job, and had to sort of fix a few things and recruit and hire a bunch of people. One of those people was Mary Miner to join our team to build out our community development program. After I left ASRC, I actually joined McKinley. Rob Gillum hired me to go to McKinley because he really wanted to buy Alaska Growth Capital. And we partnered with that initial acquisition with Bristol Bay Native Corporation and bought the company in 2022. And I resumed the role of president once again, my second stint. And then we are super excited that BB&C acquired a majority interest in Alaska Growth Capital from McKinley, transaction that closed on December 31st of 2024. That's sort of my brief background at AGC.
Yeah.
And I'll put a plug in for anybody that might be listening that's trying to take out a career path and thinking about that. Getting into banking was a great move for me. And it's a really interesting, if you you don't have to be an accountant, right? You don't have to be a financial wizard. A lot of banking is personal relationships. I mean, of course you have to have some understanding depending on what your role is in terms of finance, but it's a great way to meet a lot of people, to get experience with a lot of different companies. I would not be at BB&C now had I not been at the bank then, just given the experiences and the path, and you get to see different things. So really, I would put a strong plug. If anybody out there listening has an interest in banking or a career in finance, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to talk to them.
That's cool.
Awesome.
And I would say community economic development as well. I mean,
Go off.
I work at a community lender. I'm not a lender, but my whole career has been in trying to increase access to capital to underserved communities. And so I'm an Alaskan girl, born and raised, spent my summers in ECOC, but after high school, went to college and wanted to see the rest of the world, and got an interest in microfinance really early on, small loans, and then went to work for a microfinance lender, a small loan lender in Ghana in West Africa. Saw that experience in the field with loan officers in very small communities, and then thought about starting a business to help support microfinance lenders, this time in Rwanda. And while I was in Rwanda, got to help lots of small business lenders and try to kind of increase their efficiencies and operations. But then life happens, and I came back to Alaska, and I thought, oh, how am I going to do this kind of work? You know, I really want to help increase access to capital. I didn't know anything about CDFIs, native CDFIs, and what that was. And just in talking to people and the Google, I came across Alaska Growth Capital and instantly felt like it was a right fit for me, and met Logan and was hired. And I remember one of the first projects I looked at for an investment was a water sewer sanitation facility in Stebbins, Alaska, and this was in 2018. You know, they were looking to get indoor water sewer sanitation like in their homes in 2018 in my home state in the United States. And these were problems that I was seeing on the African continent. And so I was just really inspired to, we got to fix this. We got to change this. We got to, increase our infrastructure investments, increase our support of small businesses. So it's really cool that I get to do that kind of work here in my home state. Feels even more impactful.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you guys both mentioned, some backstory on being in finance, but not being, someone who's an accountant or, has their CMA. Is that what that's called? Has their CMA? Or because like in college, like when you're looking at different careers, when I hear finance, I'm like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there's so many different options, and like you can really make a big impact, which both of you have done, and that's really cool.
You might imagine my surprise when in 2017 I'd just taken over Alaska Growth. It was, addressing some issues within the organization. One of those I really wanted to get spun up was the community development side, and we were sort of using an outside consultant for a lot of those things. And again, this is the power of relationships, especially in Alaska. I love that we are like 1.5 degrees of separation up here, because a lot of the opportunities that whether it's in business or personal or whatever it might be, are just through personal relationships and knowing people, and they know you, and things happen. So Mary and I got introduced, like, hey, I don't remember who it was. Somebody said, you should talk to this person. She just moved back here. I said, yep, absolutely. So Mary and I had, I don't know, lunch or coffee or something like that. And she explained her story that she just shared with us. And I about fell off the table. I thought, okay, let's draw up a job description right now.
You're hired.
I effectively said, you're hired. I'm pretty sure at the first meeting. And I said, I'm not sure if I yet have the authority to do that. I'll let you know, but let's figure out the job description and what you're going to do. And more or less, she got hired on the spot. And so those sort of interactions are what makes this all really fun, and having those personal relationships and getting out there and engage with your community is really important.
Yeah, I mean, you shared BB&C recently acquired the majority interest in Alaska Growth Capital. Can you tell us a bit more about it? Why is Alaska Growth Capital important to BB&C or our shareholders?
We'll start with what is Alaska Growth Capital? Really at our core, we're a business lender. So we make loans, our team makes loans to primarily Alaskan-owned businesses that need to borrow money. We focus on providing loans from the SBA, Small Business Administration Loan Program, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA loan program. And these loan programs have loan guarantees that allow a lender like Alaska Growth Capital to make higher risk loans, oftentimes where people are struggling to get financing. So maybe they've gone into a bank, their bank says no, they can't provide that loan to them for whatever reason. It's weird collateral or specialty collateral, or they're a new business, or maybe they had some financial difficulties in the past. And so those are the types of borrowers that come to us and get referred to us, and we try to help them out. A lot of those loan opportunities are in rural Alaska, and many, as you guys know, many communities in rural Alaska don't have a bank, right? So it's not as if they walked into the bank and they get declined. There is no bank at all. So they don't even know where to go. So most of our loans are outside of Anchorage.
Okay.
So, Mary, you kind of talked about the Alaska Marketplace competition a little bit. Can you guys tell us more about that? What is it?
Yeah, so this is a program that we started in 2009 in partnership with Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, our former owners. And it was a business plan competition. It was called the North Slope Marketplace. And it was for ASRC shareholders that were residing on the North Slope. This was really an initiative to support ASRC shareholders, support seeding new small businesses. And this is what we do at Alaska Growth Capital. Kind of a cool tangent or aside. The idea for Alaska Growth Capital actually started out of business plan competition.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we have our roots in that. And so it was very natural for us to start a competition to support the communities that we're working in every day.
Yeah.
So in partnership with ASRC, we started the North Slope Marketplace in 2009, and we would meet as a committee. The applicants would fill out, 1 to 2 page form sharing about their business idea. And more often than not, the committee approved funding this project. People would sometimes be able to come down to Anchorage to receive a short training with the Small Business Development Center, but they're just off with the proceeds of their award and running their business. So there wasn't a lot of training or support back in the day. And when I joined the team in 2017, I thought it would be really cool to build more of a cohesive program that was providing support throughout a year-long training cycle to develop a cohort to help entrepreneurs develop the skills that they needed before writing a comprehensive business plan and then potentially getting financing. So we surveyed the market and identified Spruce Root, which is another native community development financial institution or native CDFI based out of Southeast that had developed a business plan competition that had been going for almost a decade and had received a lot of notoriety. It's called Path to Prosperity. I said, oh man, this is something that we should do. We should model our program after P2P and what Spruce Root is doing. So we developed a partnership with Spruce Root, retooled our North Slope Marketplace program to resemble Path to Prosperity, and ran our first rework of the North Slope Marketplace in 2019. We hosted a 3-day training in Utqiagvik, bringing shareholders from across the North Slope together in a cohort and to provide that training before the award. So that was in 2019. 2020, COVID happens, and of course we had to again get creative on how we were going to deploy this model. So started doing trainings online and had success with that. And then coming out of COVID, we developed a hybrid system where we could provide some trainings before our big boot camp in-person training that were online, preparing entrepreneurs to come to boot camp, and then hit the ground at our in-person training and provided, mentors, connections with business leaders, all happening in person as well as instruction. As things were changing at Alaska Growth Capital and we came to McKinley and got more integrated with BB&C, we decided to launch the Bristol Bay Marketplace. And also at that time, as we're growing the program to serve the Bristol Bay region, Aleut Corporation also reached out and asked if we could do a similar program for their shareholder network as well. So last year we got to run 3 business plan competitions in parallel, the North Slope Marketplace, the Bristol Bay Marketplace, and the Aleut Shareholder Marketplace. And we got to bring all the finalists to our in-person training together, and it was really cool to see the cohorts interact and learn from each other and share what's going on in each of their unique communities.
How many businesses were finalists?
We had 76 applications in total.
Wow, that's awesome.
So really cool to see how many people were interested in participating, and you can see the need for starting up new businesses. We had 30 finalists that were accepted to come to our boot camp, so 10 from each regional affiliation. We had 9 that ultimately ended up coming from the ALI cohort, 8 from the BBNC cohort, and 9 from the ASRC cohort. So great to have them all together at boot camp. And then we have our finalists, or our winners that we just announced 2 weeks ago from each cohort. And so, yeah, really excited to be able to continue to support all of those businesses as they grow and develop.
So once these finalists are chosen, you said there's like a 3-day boot camp.
Yep,
right?
It was initially 3 days. We've just continued to add programming and speakers. So it's 4.5 days now.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what are some examples of like things that they learn at the boot camp?
Yeah, so we have a business plan template. That's kind of maybe the core thing, is learning about the template and how to write a comprehensive business plan, all the things that need to go in there. In addition to the written format on your target market and, explaining your business idea, we also ask them to prepare financial projections. So before boot camp and then also at the in-person training, we spend a lot of time going over financial projections, and our lenders at Alaska Growth Capital would say, make sure you have solid projections. Sometimes businesses get maybe too optimistic on how fast they're going to grow. And so we talk a lot about, what are reasonable expectations in terms of your financial projections. And we utilize the Small Business Development Center's financial model that they've developed to develop those projections. And we also partner with them to facilitate a training on that model to help our entrepreneurs. We also have marketing specialists that come in. We have a lawyer who comes in that talks about just legal entity structures on starting a new business. We have someone who comes in and talks about QuickBooks and how to use that and feel comfortable with that. And then we have an afternoon where we invite leaders in from the community in different business sectors that are applicable to what we're seeing in the cohort for that year. And we do a round of, we call it quick coaching. It's kind of like speed dating. Entrepreneurs sit on one side of the desk and the business leader sits on the other side, and you get, 7 or 8 minutes to talk through your business idea, and then they can give you feedback and ask questions, and it helps with developing your business pitch. And then on the last day, we do ask all of the entrepreneurs to pitch their business. And then we record them, and that is part of their business plan submission.
Wow.
Understanding that not all businesses are going to be on Shark Tank or be pitching, in that kind of a forum to an investor, but just getting them confident with their concise, business idea to be able to communicate that out to a lender, to a customer, to potentially an investor. So no one loves that part of boot camp, I think, but it is a good experience, and it's fun to see the businesses come in, hear that they're gonna do this, and then on the last day do it, and then just the excitement in the room. Everybody, watches, congratulates those entrepreneurs on what they did, and it's a really special moment.
As you can see, like, the program is very cool.
Yeah.
Like what Mary and her team and with our partners at Spruce have put together is robust. It's fulsome. It is, covers everything. Many of our borrowers that come into Alaska Growth Capital to borrow money, they need this sort of support. They're not necessarily have it all together. And so by us providing the marketplace program, we're trying to provide the training and tools and resources to these entrepreneurs that prepare them for if and when they need to borrow money or seek an investor, that they're ready to go. They've got the practice to talking about their business. They've looked at financial statements. They know what QuickBooks is. They can look at a financial projection or put together a financial projection. They can get, critical feedback from these quick coaches. Somebody says, well, boy, that doesn't sound like a great idea. Did you think about this or did you think about that? And they can sort of be on their toes and ready to defend their idea or business. So the marketplace program it's been amazing to see what changes have happened since 2017, when it used to be just this sort of, like I said, a single form. We got the form, we sort of picked out the best form, and then we made a financial award, which was meaningful and helpful. But now looking at the camaraderie and the relationships, and we've heard from a lot of our participants that the actual boot camp itself felt like that was the award, not the actual financial award at the end. The fact that they are getting to meet other peers and people in their cohorts and these mentors. And we do a really good job, I think, at trying to pull in some high-powered mentors and people that come in. So we're approaching, senior leadership at different organizations and throughout the state, that region, and trying to get folks exposure to different people. And it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it sounds like just being a part of it is a reward in itself. As far as when someone wins something like this, what are they awarded?
Our awards are up to $25,000, and we pay the award funds directly to a vendor. So one year we had a business, Blue Goose Hauling, they're ASRC shareholder-led business that is transporting goods on the ice road on the North Slope. So they needed a new trailer, and we helped buy that trailer. So the winners don't receive a cash prize in their bank account. We help them buy an asset, or if they want to do continuing training or get marketing services or hire an accountant, build a new building, we would help with those capital expenditures.
Every business needs it different, and they've just gone through this process to develop a business plan and outline what their budget is and what they need to buy. And so our financial award basically goes towards certain things that they need to invest in or buy to support their business. Sometimes it's less than $25,000. Sometimes it's far in excess of $25,000, and we can only provide that $25,000. But it is a grant. There is no repayment of that, but it does go directly to, as Mary said, to the vendors, for qualifying business expenses.
And then we have had cases where, as Logan said, maybe an entrepreneur needs more than $25,000. Maybe they need that initially, or maybe in a couple years from winning their award, they need more capital. And so we've had entrepreneurs come back to Alaska Growth Capital to seek one of our loans. We are seeding new entrepreneurship. Maybe eventually they would become a loan client, and then our kind of success trajectory is that our loan clients then graduate out of our loans and can seek more conventional financing elsewhere. And I would say if we are not the next point in the road for them, we also have a network of other lenders that are providing very small loans in the community that are also native CDFIs that we partner with. So we want to meet entrepreneurs where they are today and help them grow. And I think we have a really successful team that's able to direct them to the resources and the best product that fits them for where they are today.
I love that the marketplace isn't just for new businesses. Like, you have an idea, but what if you already have a business and you're like, you just need that little extra something. So I love that you cater to both.
Totally. And I think that is a really cool element to see at boot camp, because you have new businesses that are coming in and they're just soaking it all up. And then you have existing businesses that are coming back to kind of the foundations and saying, oh man, I wish I had done that in the beginning. You guys over here, you should do it that way. Yeah, just really good learnings. And then there are sometimes, entrepreneurs share things with the group that are new to us. It's a really powerful environment for new businesses coming in, for the facilitators to hear, what's going on in individual communities and how others have done it. And I think we're all learning in the process.
The marketplace is awesome. It's fun. I mean, what Mary and the team have done with that is transformative for many of these entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And it really couldn't take place without sort of our key lending program. And as you might imagine, nothing that we described there makes money, right? It is a cost center for us. It's something that we do because it's well aligned with our mission as a native CDFI, but we really have to sort of divert some of our earnings from different programs to support this and find partners like Bristol Bay Native Corporation and other, strategic partners to help support the program.
Yeah.
But on the lending side, so our team overall, Alaska Growth Capital, we're only 15 people. So we're all Alaska based. We're only 15 people. Mary has herself and two more on her community development team that focus on that side of the house. The rest of the team is mostly focused on our lending programs. And so I described some of how our borrowers get to us. They're struggling to get a loan at a bank or something like that. And most often we are able to help people out using the Small Business Administration SBA 7A program. That loan program maxes out at $5 million. We don't go much below about $250,000 as sort of our minimum loan amount up to that $5 million. Our average loan amount is about $1 million. So to some businesses, that's a very small amount. To some mom and pop businesses, those are huge amounts. So it kind of depends on who your audience is. A lot of the types of loans that we see are specialty collateral. We do a lot of financing for aircraft. As we know, aircraft are a critical thing outside of the road system, and they're not just a nice to have thing. They are providing food and mail and medicine and all these sort of things. Well, a lot of these small air service providers they're not able to get financing, or they're not able to get competitive financing. So we do a lot of financing for aircraft. Fishing vessels, we're not primarily a fishing lender, but we do have, sometimes those come to us. There's a number of resources out there for fishermen and fisherwomen to finance their boats, but we don't do a lot of like actual fishing boat financing. But someone that might be running a barge service, for example, it's hard to finance a barge. That's not something that you can just walk into the bank and get an easy loan for to finance a barge. Trying to think some other interesting lending opportunities that we've.
Village corporations
Yep.
have been, a mainstay in Alaska Growth's portfolio over the years. Also, we were just at the Rural Small Business Conference last week. Village stores also have been in the portfolio over the years. Over 50% of our loans are in rural Alaska. So we understand that market. Our head of lending lived in Dillingham for many years, and many individuals on our team have lived and worked in rural communities across the state. And so as Logan said, we're a 15-person Alaska-based team that has experience outside of Anchorage, off the road system communities. And for us, when we get a loan application from these communities, it's not just data points on our loan application. Like, these are lived experiences by our team. They understand what entrepreneurs are going through in many of these communities. And also, many people on our team have partners that have small businesses, family small businesses. So they really do understand those challenges and opportunities that our entrepreneurs are facing in small businesses. Yeah.
Is there a business that's like too big or too small?
Well, no. Let's just say no.
Okay.
So a lot of times the SBA is the Small Business Administration. So, a lot of times we say we finance small businesses. But again, if you are a village corporation that has $50 million in revenue and you have a bunch of subsidiaries and somebody is having trouble and they need to borrow $2 or $3 million, that business oftentimes qualifies under the SBA definitions as a small business. But if you are an owner of a coffee shop and you hear about that business, you wouldn't consider that a small business. You think that's a gigantic business. Yeah, I would say anybody that needs to borrow less than $5 million, which is the SBA cap, we would sort of consider them. The SBA has some very esoteric, specific rules about how to qualify in revenues based on your NAICS code and all this sort of nonsense that we have to follow. But for the most part, if you're a business owner, you have a borrowing need for your business that's less than $5 million, that will usually fit in the SBA Small Business Program.
Going back to the Alaska Marketplace competition, does anything stand out to you specifically about this year's competition?
Yes, this year's competition was so exciting because we had these three regions coming together. And I think it was kind of a dream of mine, and it's still a dream of mine to potentially have this in every region of the state. Yeah. But to see that initial first step come to fruition and see entrepreneurs from different regions, different communities coming together in this cohort model was really, really exciting. And preview into 2025.
Go ahead.
Our colleagues at Spruce Root with Path to Prosperity, they're going to bring their P2P cohort into our Alaska Marketplace cohort. So entrepreneurs from Southeast are going to come up to Anchorage and work with the other regions that we have in the competition this year. So yeah, that cross-regional collaboration was really, really awesome.
Definitely.
That's cool.
Alaska Growth Capital, we're an interesting type of company, right? Because we are for profit.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make a profit and return dividends to our shareholders, of which the primary shareholder is BB&C. But as you've heard today, a lot of what we do is very mission-based, right? We have missions that we seek to satisfy from the state of Alaska as a BidCo, from the Small Business Administration, as a SBA lender, and most importantly, as a CDFI, as a native CDFI through the Department of Treasury. So a lot of the work that we do is mission-based, and that's why I'm so excited to be part of BB&C, because there is a ton of synergy with the makeup and mission of a Alaska Native Regional Corporation and with what we do, because as an Alaska Native Regional Corporation, you are also for profit. Your key purpose is to return financial dividends to your shareholders, but there is also a mission component of that and economic development. And every region is different, and every village corp and regional corp that I've seen and experienced over my decades of business experience, There's always a push and pull and a prioritization, and that changes with board members and shareholder initiatives, and that's totally understandable. So that kind of goes up and down, but at its core, paying dividends to your shareholders and providing, economic development for your region. I mean, that is what we do. So it is so meaningful for us to be part of BB&C, and to have that sort of mission alignment is fantastic.
Yeah. When is the next deadline to apply for the marketplace?
Yeah, so we're going to be opening the 2025 applications in March, and we'll give a 2-month period for people to apply, submit the initial application phase is called the business concept. So just a couple questions, tell us about your business idea, and then we hope to get those applications reviewed and the finalists selected before fishing, for me personally, and for all the finalists that are applying.
Smart.
And then we plan to hold our boot camp training in October. Kind of a high level key dates to look out for. But of course, all this information is on our website under the Alaska Marketplace tab.
And we also share it on BB&C's website for our audience.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any closing thoughts before we go?
I just really appreciate you guys taking the time and allowing us to share a little bit about what we do, both with our sort of core lending program, because again, we're always marketing and advertising. We're looking for customers. We're looking for new borrowers. And so if there's anybody out there that thinks that we might be able to help them out with a loan, we'd be happy to talk to them. But also, just as importantly, the marketplace program. I mean, this is a really important thing of what we do, and relatively new to the BB&C region. And I really appreciate your whole team's engagement with our team and helping us get these messages out. And especially as we open up the 2025, I mean, the more people that we apply, the better quality we get and the more impact that we can have. So thank you for that.
That's awesome. And what is your website? Where can people learn more about Alaska Growth Capital?
www.alaskagrowth.com.
Thank you both so much for being on. This has been so good. I learned something new, and I hope our audience did as well. I know they did. But yeah, thank you so much. And just a little preview, we'll be having the winners of the Bristol Bay Marketplace on our next episode, so tune into that.
Awesome.
Can't wait.
But with that, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
We are one Bristol Bay. No matter the distance, we are connected through a shared purpose to create a path for the generations that follow. Bristol Bay Native Corporation, always more than a corporation.